All right, my friends, we're here at the Placentia Yorba Linda School District, getting ready to get started here at this very unusual time, 8:30 a.m. People are coming in after dropping off their kids this morning. Some people were smart enough to bring their blankies because it is cold. Let's see what the agenda is. It has changed from the original hearing, or the meeting was supposed to be about the going virtual on the school board meetings, but apparently it has changed now to change the time of the meetings, apparently. So we'll see how things change, and
did you sign the school choice
the public comment
will be on the ballot where the money follows the backpack. You can pull your kids from public school here. Would you like to sign it? Sure. Okay. So let me just tell you something. He did.
I did.
So
So it is 8:30. We should be getting started here very shortly.
Cancel it. So you just have to go against all the whiny big stuff.
Just want to let you know you're right in front of the camera. It's okay if you want people to see you.
No, I don't need them to. I'm sure they're going to see me soon enough.
One of the things that's noticeable is that Marilyn's sitting in between Karen and Carrie. We're wondering what that's all about. Usually El Sasser is to one end, and then the school board members are next to him. So it's interesting. I'm not sure if they're trying to say something here with the seating arrangement. You know, it's not a conspiracy theory necessarily, just wondering.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first outdoor meeting. Good morning to those in attendance and those viewing via live stream. Our meeting is being held outside the boardroom, and as a result, those watching at home will only be able to hear audio and will not be able to see the live picture. But we're all out here warm and hopefully bundled up because it is cold. This meeting is open to the public at the District Educational Center at 1301 East Orangethorpe Avenue, Placentia, California 92870, and public comment will be accepted in person and on the subject of this meeting only. It should be noted that the special board meeting agenda that was revised and has been revised and was posted on January 31st. The original agenda included a resolution for the board's consideration that would make the February 8th board meeting a virtual meeting. However, the revised agenda now includes an action item for the board's consideration that would move the February 8th meeting to February 16th after the expiration of the statewide indoor mandate as an in-person meeting. So this meeting is not about moving to a virtual meeting. It's about moving our meeting 1 week later to the 16th so that we don't have to worry about the mask mandate. Okay. So we have Mr. Youngblood is joining us via teleconference and is listening and can speak as he needs to from Texas. Okay, so we'll move on. It is what time? 8:32. So we'll call the special meeting of the Board of Education of the PYLUSD called by myself in accordance with Governance Code Sections 54950 et sequitur and Education Code Sections 35140 ex sequitur to be held at 8:30 a.m. February 2nd, 2022 at the District Ed Center. And our subject to the call today is to revise the 2022 Board of Education meeting schedule. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Perfect. Mrs. Anderson, would you like to do that for us?
Thank you guys for joining me. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sean.
Very cool.
All right, our roll call. All of us are here, and I had mentioned Mr. Youngblood by teleconference. All right, thank you. So public comment announcement. Those audience member wishing to address the board during public comment segment of our meeting are reminded to fill out the public comment card at the table here, right at the front. We have 23, I believe, at this point. The board bylaws do not require forms to be submitted once we have called for the public comment. Okay, public comment speakers are expected to abide by Board Policy 1312, Civility Policy, which promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among district employees, parents, and the public. This policy is not intended to deprive any person of his or her right to freedom of expression, but only to maintain, to the extent possible and reasonable, a safe, harassment-free environment. Any individual who disrupts or threatens to disrupt school office operations, threatens the health and safety of students or staff, willfully causes property damage, uses loud and or offensive language which could provoke a violent reaction, or who has otherwise established a continued pattern of unauthorized entry on school property will be directed to leave school or school district property promptly. Okay, we have a maximum of 30 minutes set aside for public comment, and speakers are allowed a maximum of 5 minutes, but with 23, a couple more. So it looks like we'll be at about 1 minute each. We'll address the board in English or in their primary language, and when translation is needed, we can add additional time for that. Persons with a disability who require a disability-related modification or accommodation, including auxiliary aids, are in order to participate in the meeting, and persons who need translation assistance may reach us for those modifications. And 48 hours notice would be helpful. Okay, so that brings us to approval of the agenda.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Freeman, second by Mrs. Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 5-0. Oh, okay, you're right. Okay, so we need to do a roll call vote, so we're on teleconference, and because people can't, are only listening. So we'll go down the line. Mrs. Freeman? Aye. Mrs. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Blades? Mr. Youngblood? And myself? Aye as well. So motion carries 5-0.
All those
And
that
that
are
brings us
watching,
to
if you could
public
share
comment,
this out
right now,
to your audience,
we
it'll
are
help.
not taking any more cards, and we have a
Because,
total of.
My videos are being
25.
blocked by Facebook, so it would help.
Do you have a timer? How will they know? Okay, so we'll keep an eye on the clock here. So everybody will get 1 minute. And again, you can only speak to the item of the call today, which is adjusting our meeting schedule. Okay, so I'm going to call 4 at a time so that you can line up and know your order. First one is Tina Batcher. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Mike with the Parent Association of PYL, Andy Falco, and Nicole Avila.
So I'm going to go ahead and defer and switch order. I'm going to go ahead and let Dave go ahead of me, and then I'll take Dave, or Mike, and then I'll let him go. I'll take his place.
Good morning. I ask that the February board meeting not be delayed. There's important business to attend to that affects our kids. One of those important items relates to the masking of our children. On behalf of my kids and hundreds of others, I'd like to read you a few highlights from this legal notice prepared by our attorney. This letter serves as actual notice of our revocation of consent to any and all medical procedures and or treatments relating to COVID-19, including but not limited to masks, face shields, vaccines, and testing. It goes on to state, continued enforcement of the mandates that students and other persons wear masks constitutes a violation of federal statutory law. You should know this includes you being personally named as defendants and subject to personal liability for violating my child's civil rights pursuant to Title 42 U.S. Code 1983. Let the public record show that Superintendent Elsasser, district staff, and the board are hereby officially served notice of non-consent.
Please
from
conclude your
concerned parents.
comments.
I'll
Please
conclude
conclude your
with a
comments, sir.
hypothetical question.
Your time is up.
Is this worth your
time
home,
is up.
your car, or your pension?
Sir, your time is up.
Think about that tonight. Thank you.
You can't pass on minutes.
My biggest concern right now is this. At the last board meeting I was at, where I called you guys out for the mask and the choir and all of that, and I followed up with a detailed email to each of you, because of course you can't take public comment. You won't respond to public comment. So,
ma'am, you can only speak about our special meeting.
I am
Moving
talking
the
about
date.
the special meeting, because I have questions about it, and when I have questions about it, you don't respond. I re-emailed each and every one of you guys. The only person that responded to me was Leander Blades. That's a big surprise, right? So my question is why don't you respond to emails when you say you will and you don't, and there's pressing issues? So how can we ever get a follow-up from you? How can we ever hear what you have to say to us? You work for us. Do you understand that? That's my question. Oh, you can't answer. Maybe you can respond in email possibly. Do you suppose? No comment, right?
Andy Falco?
It's convenient that you change the items that we can talk about. So we'll talk about this. And what the last woman was just saying is that it's convenient that you guys do not respond to emails. Again, Leander Blades and Sean Youngblood, they always respond to my emails. And there's no reason why we need to postpone this, because by postponing it, you're not allowing us to have a voice to speak about what's important to the parents. We cannot wait 2 weeks. We've been asking for the CRT for now 3 months to be banned. That's not being done. We've asked you to remove the mask. That's not being done. And it just so happens that Johns Hopkins just came out with a study that says all the lockdowns, everything you've done for our kids, has not done anything to protect our kids. So it's very inconvenient that the study comes out. It says right here, the researchers say lockdowns had no noticeable effect on COVID mortality and had a devastating effect on economies and social ills, which includes our children. Everything you've done is to harm our children, nothing to help our children. I have a FOIA request here for Karen Freeman, for Dr. Elsasser, and Carrie Buck. You have 72 hours to respond to these FOIA requests.
Our next speaker is Nicole Avila.
We're supposed to be here for the children, and when we keep postponing these, the children also lose their voice. They're not getting their field trips. We're not voting on important issues like CRT and mask mandates. When we postpone these issues, my daughter, who was here to speak the last 2 meetings, did not get a chance to speak until after the meeting. She wanted to talk about the fact that she had, heat stroke from wearing a mask during PE indoors. And she was abused, basically. The school just treated it like she had COVID and sent her home. The school needs to realize there are other issues that are happening to them from their health, and that it is not just COVID, and treat them that way, because the masks are causing other issues and other illnesses. And I can give you guys the doctor bill so you can pay it. And if they die or fall over and pass out from hitting their head, you will also be held responsible. So please take off the masks. When the kids need to do exercising indoors, that is also a huge, huge health risk. I mean, the issues need to be voted on. Don't postpone.
Okay, our next 4 speakers will be Chris Curtis, Lindsay Sid, Michelle Waterworth, and Kristen Mortensen.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the law enforcement that's here protecting our community. I really appreciate it. There are kids losing participation points towards their grades for not wearing masks properly, and teachers are saying it's district policy. There are kids being kicked out of school for not wearing a certain type of mask, and the district says it's policy. But it states in the bylaws the district is only one to make policy. To continue to postpone the meeting until the 16th is irresponsible, as we continue to have children being kicked out of school and punished daily. If anything, the meeting should be moved up, as Carrie Buck continues to cancel them, and it is obvious there are more pressing issues they're trying to enforce. You can ignore all of us parents like you have been doing for the last 2 years. You won't be ignoring us this November when we vote you out, Carrie Buck. Thank you.
Morning. First off, I just want to express how disappointed I am
with the proposal of proposing the February 8th meeting to February 16th. I'm also disappointed that we are having a board meeting at this time when most parents are working, but you will not stop me. I will miss work every single day to continue this fight for my children. You, Mrs. Buck, do not have my support, and I do not trust that you have mine or anyone's children's best interest at heart. Yeah. And if this past weekend we have seen, again, our leaders not following these mandates, the very mandates that they have put into place, Newsom, Garcetti, the mayor of San Francisco, etc., were pictured in a setting, a mega event with 70,000 plus people unmasked. If you Google mask mandate for Los Angeles and Orange County, it states everyone 2 years of age and older must wear a mask in all indoor public places and outdoor mega events, whether they have been vaccinated or not. But here they are not following their own rules once again.
Thank you. Next.
I just have one more quote from a doctor, Eli.
You need
David.
to
COVID
conclude your
is a
remarks.
deadly pandemic.
Your time is up.
It has killed science, logic,
We're ready for the
evidence-based medicine,
next.
and common sense.
Yes.
First and foremost, I am also very angry that I had to take a day off work to be able to attend this meeting. I want this board to know that changing the meeting time to a time when most parents are at work isn't going to stop me from coming and fighting for my children. I will be at every meeting no matter what time you schedule them, so please remember that. Also, this district needs to stop hiding behind public health officials. Public health officials have been wrong from the start. They have ignored data, denied science, and misled the public. We will never trust them again. My favorite meme right now is the one of Dr. Fauci, and it says, "Follow the science all the way to my bank account." This district is no different. Shame on you for accepting funds from the federal government with strings attached. Those strings happen to threaten the lives of the people us parents love the most in this world. We will fight with every breath in our bodies to protect our children. Give the money back so that we can go about our lives the way other states in the U.S. and other countries have.
I tend to be a person of logic and a solutions-driven person. There are solutions to everything. Postponing our meetings is not putting our children first. Our children are the most important. There's a way to do it. You guys had a great solution today. Our board president in 2020 just simply waited. But in the meantime, waited for people to get their masks on and had people walk through. In the meantime, right now, you're postponing all of these important decisions for our kids. There's a child whose mom is in our audience who cannot go to school because of the mask. There are so many things that you are not putting our children first when there are solutions to having the meeting, to having, accepting medical exemptions, to having it outside like today, having speakers come in to talk, having somebody who's hearing impaired be able to see somebody talking and not having a mask when they're speaking. There are so many solutions. Come up with one and put our kids first because that is your job.
Okay, our next four speakers are Ben Stubbs, Maria Stubbs, Amy S. Okay, and Ryan Heath, your subject of comment is for masking and COVID, and this is about the subject of the meeting. You wrote that in there. Our subject today is about moving the meeting, so we're unable to have you speak on that.
Because of the mask. Yeah. So that is exactly what he's talking about. You do the talking because of the mask. That is exactly the agenda.
So we're going to start next with Ben Stubbs. Go ahead.
Yes.
Good morning, members of the board. I would oppose a vote on postponing this meeting and moving it out, because by all means we have every reason to expect that the executive order for the emergency state be extended, as it's been repeatedly for the past 2 years. Let's not put any of this on hold. This is regular business, as we all know. Let's take this very seriously, that right now we are in a situation where there's a lot of disorder because of this executive disorder. And I say disorder as a Freudian slip because there's no order about it. So when we're not dealing with law, we're not dealing with written policy, everything's up in the air. And us parents, we're taking a stand right here to say enough is enough of this kind of stuff. pushing things out. All these backwards rules that really just have they're not black and white, they're not in print. It's just, it's too much, and we can't accept pushing this out to a later date. Let's continue business.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of my family and neighborhood who has been following closely, to make it real clear, we say no to you on virtual or rescheduled board meetings. If you, board members, those who walked out, if you have prior and during the time when Mrs. Bach first canceled the first meeting to today, if you went to a restaurant, had a coffee shop, a drink, visited family or friends, and you and those around you weren't wearing masks and you were okay with it, much like Newsom, you should question your moral integrity. I just want to say, cut it out. You're hurting our children. We've been asking you, no masks. We've been asking you, let them breathe. You're not doing it. Please, if you can't do your job, there's other jobs out there that you may be able to perform better.
I have two high schoolers, so I first just want to say thank you to Ms. Buck for scheduling this at 8:30 when you know it's late start for them, making this the most inconvenient time for parents to get here. It seems you don't want to hear from some parents, but we need to keep these meetings in person and move forward with the February 8th meeting date, please. Business needs to be attended to. You keep postponing it over mask issues. Our district is going in the wrong direction. Even the New York Times published an op-ed late last week headlined, "Let kids take their masks off after the Omicron surge." Massachusetts Governor's Office sent a letter to college and university presidents yesterday urging them to end the campus COVID-19 mandates, citing the epidemic affecting mental health among our students. Denver announced the retirement of its mask mandates and vaccine passport rules for local businesses starting Friday. We need the board to take a stand and stop the harassment of students over these recommended mask mandates. It's time to end the mask requirements and let parents and students choose what's best for our own health. Thank you.
My name is Ryan.
Are you Ryan?
I'm here to speak.
Go ahead
so
and speak.
I'm going to go ahead and talk. So I'm a lawyer from Arizona, and I'm actually here to do you a favor, Ms. Buck, because I want to tell you that you are personally liable, and I actually want to tell all of you board members here. If you're speaking with the attorney here of the school district, you need to know there's a conflict of interest there between you and the school, because you are actually violating federal law and actually the Civil Rights Act, making you all personally liable for your actions here. And so we're going to be filing lawsuits against you, not just me, but all sorts of different lawsuits. And we are going to hold you accountable for the abuse that you are carrying out over these children. Thank you.
Our next four speakers, Judy Desjardins, Chad Letourneau, Todd Frazier, and Ian.
Ian who, Ms. Buck?
It just says Ian. There's an Ian Jamison 25, but there's an Ian also. Jardin.
Good morning, everyone. I was a little bit unprepared to speak, but my vote is to have the meeting on 2/8 because of what these parents are saying and what the kids are going through. And just to remind everyone, yes, I am Judy Desjardins. I have 2 grandchildren at Mabel Payne and a son that teaches in the district. So I do care about what's going on. And please just hear the plea of these parents and what they're going through and the children. And this is America. There's freedoms. If anyone wants to wear a mask, wear one. It's whatever you want, but don't make it mandatory. And please do not have a virtual meeting on February the 8th. Please vote for a regular meeting and to continue on February the 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank Sean and Leandra for actually responding to my emails. Since we're on the notion of changing dates, I would like to propose that we change the date for your re-election.
just
would like to point out that we've all realized that we're sitting at a meeting, right? Yeah. This is literally a meeting, and we're asking to postpone a meeting because we can't have a meeting. I'm just trying to understand the logic as to why you would vote yes for this at all. So I wanted to bring that up. We've all got kids, we've all got people that were involved, and we had to leave things to come here this morning. So we're going to make time to make sure that we can have these things and get business done. Yet it feels like there's no effort on your end to make things happen. You're just going and making choices based on how you feel and what you'd like to do. So please, when you vote, think about the logic and the practical reason as to why in the world, when we're at a meeting, we would postpone another meeting. Thank you.
So there's no Ian, or maybe
No, there is. We have Ian coming up right now.
Hi, my name is Ian Nicole Pearson from Facts Law Truth Justice. We're from the law firm that's suing you guys for the crimes committed against Chris and Aiden Pelkey, the rest of their family. I'm here today. I want to read something to you. The people of the state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people in delegating authority do not give to their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments that they created. Do you have any idea what I'm reading? This is the Brown Act. This is the law. This is that governs your conduct. It is the law that guarantees this public's right to attend and participate in meetings of local legislative bodies. Do you know what the penalty is for violation of a Brown Act? Does anybody know? No, it's not. Will anybody cede their time to me? Who's next?
Please conclude your remarks.
I'm not going to conclude my
time to her. Let her
speak. Do you know what the penalty is? This is your job. This is the law. Where's your
time is up. Please
No. Please conclude your remarks. I'm asking you a question. It's a misdemeanor. Do you know what a misdemeanor is in the state of California? Because I'm about to let you know. Here, I'm concluding. If you stop talking, I will conclude.
Please conclude your remarks. The time is up.
Your time is up.
Everyone had 1 minute.
A violation of the Brown Act. Can I finish my sentence?
No, your time
violation of the Brown Act is
everyone had the same amount
that is
of time.
chargeable with 6 months to a year in jail and $1,000.
Please conclude your remarks.
You may not conclude this meeting. We will not continue this meeting.
Your time is
we
up,
have
ma'am.
a right
The next four speakers
to be here.
are Sonia Dollywall,
Speakers.
Paul Kunkel, Stephanie Maurer, and Heather Brown.
It's
your
a
last four
misdemeanor,
speakers.
Punishable by 6 months
Your
in jail
time is up.
to a year. Stephanie
You
Maurer.
can't pass your time,
It's
unfortunately. Everybody gets the same amount of time.
To a year in jail for each violation.
If you can't
stop,
then we're going to have to take a
Oh,
pause.
you're gonna run away. You're gonna run away again.
Your time is up. You've had more time than anyone else.
Carrie Buck, you don't understand the law. You don't understand how this works. This isn't a dictatorship.
Ma'am,
There is
you
a
need
Brown
to
Act that you need
your
to follow.
remarks.
You don't get to conclude meetings
Ma'am,
when there's
your
a
time
quorum.
is up. Everybody
Ma'am,
had 1 minute.
Ma'am,
Your time
she's
is
ceding
up.
her time to me. If you stop talking, I could
Can't
finish.
pass your time on to someone
Yes,
else.
you can. You don't understand the Brown Act. This is why you're going to jail.
Ma'am, your time is up. Ma'am, please step back from the dais.
Jail.
Please step back from the dais.
You don't know what you're doing. If you let me make my comments, you would understand.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
This is a list of your Brown Act violations. These are lists of the Brown Act.
What else could we be doing?
All right, my name is Stephanie Maurer. I will read these. Number one,
Ma'am, not my turn. We were taking a small break before you start. I want to make sure everybody knows. Go ahead.
is 5 minutes.
Move closer to the mic.
Move closer to the mic.
We actually had Sonia. Are you Sonia?
I will let Sonia go first.
I have Sonia, Paul, Stephanie, and Heather. Okay, we'll resume for the break. Sonia, you may speak.
Urge the board to stop delaying meetings and conduct your business as scheduled. If people cannot follow the rules by wearing a mask, they should not be allowed to attend. It's as simple as that. Our kids have to wear masks in school, and until February 15th, we have to wear masks indoors as well.
Not in restaurants.
Rather than postponing, there are other options. You've shown us today that outdoor meetings are an option, and the best option, in my opinion, is moving to virtual meetings.
We're done with virtual.
I think that should have been done back in 2020. You would get so much more.
Please let her speak.
If you had virtual meetings where parents could participate virtually, you would get so much more parent engagement, and that would be able to include the people who have been avoiding meetings because of the risk of catching COVID. You are pre-selecting your audience by holding crowded indoor meetings during a pandemic. Maybe that's what you want, but it's not an accurate representation of your constituents. Thank you.
We will not bow to tyranny any longer. This is over. It's over.
Good morning. My name is Paul Kunkel, and I want to talk about trust. You are eroding our trust. By doing these things, slowing things down, you're growing distrust in your community. This is sad, the things you're doing to our kids, the not responding to people, and you're eroding trust. Trust, once you lose it, you don't get it back. It's gone forever. And then, you know what? It'll follow you through your whole life once you lose trust. Thank you.
Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie, and they want me to read off this list. I'm absolutely disgusted with every board member that walked out on the last 2 meetings. Shame on you. We are here. We want to be heard. If we would be heard, you wouldn't have us yelling at you or getting upset. I'm tired of this. My kids want to breathe. There's no reason to postpone that meeting, even though we're just saying that because someone got backlash for virtual. That's just disgusting. That means you all get to sit in a little place and push mute while we're talking. But it's time to listen to the parents because we are the ones choosing to send our children to this district, which funds you guys. And you wonder why enrollment's down? Let me tell you, because we're tired of this. We're tired of masking our children. We're tired of not being heard, and we need to be heard and acknowledge us. And I wish I was in your district because I would run against you. And I'm tired of this. We want to be heard. My children, 3 of them, I'm ready to pull them. This mask needs to stop. They can't breathe. They can't concentrate. They call it Migraine Monday when they have to mask up again. This is ridiculous. Listen to us.
Heather Brown.
I would have preferred to have had a January board meeting because one of my sons and I both had very good comments that we would like to address the board with. And I don't understand why meetings couldn't have been moved outdoors before today. But I do applaud your sudden about face from the last meeting agenda and keeping the next scheduled board meeting in person. Meeting in person allows even community members who have connectivity, access, and other barriers, perceived or actual, in participation, an opportunity to participate in these public meetings. It also offers an opportunity for these public members to be fully heard, including their tone of voice, their body language, their facial expression. All of that is communication, and it's all part of how they communicate with you. Online only would have been an inexplicable step backward, in my opinion. Thank you for the considerate accommodation and keeping meetings in person.
Our next 3 speakers, Sarah, Mark Fury, and Ian Jameson.
I want to speak on postponing the meeting. I vote no, do not postpone the meeting. You have a whole group of parents here who have rearranged their day, got babysitters for their kids when it's late start, and it's really difficult to get our kids off to school. We're all trying to be here at these meetings because we know how important they are. We need to speak for our kids. You guys need to stand up for our kids. I believe Carrie Buck was in violation of bylaw 9321-BB in California State Government Code 54955, which means that she cannot just end a meeting on her own. You need a vote, and no one voted. And that meeting was started an hour before the regular scheduled meeting at 7 o'clock. I don't understand why that was happening. You need to listen to the parents. The parents want their children to breathe. We have that right. We have that choice. Please listen to the parents and stop postponing these meetings. Thank you.
My name is Mark Fury. I'm the one that's been giving a hard time about the bylaws. So I've got a couple of questions you can answer after my 1 minute is up. One is, who is responsible for pointing out violations of bylaws? I assume it's the superintendent. And I too sent a letter to all of you, not one response from anybody about the violations of the bylaws, which is exactly what the previous speaker said. That was one of the bylaw violations. And then I want to clarify something, Mrs. Buck. You said that if you postpone the meeting till the 16th, there'll be no masks. So what if Governor Newsom extends it? Okay, you are on record saying there would be no mask. So assuming you ignore everybody out here that says do the meeting on the 8th, clarify your statement, please. And there's nothing in the bylaws that I saw that people could not pass their time. Okay, it's in other school districts, but superintendent, are you responsible for the bylaws? Is there anything in there that says you cannot pass your time? Answer it.
And our last speaker, Ian Jameson.
So over the weekend, we saw the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, and the mayor of San Francisco cavorting in a stadium of 70,000 people without a mask. But yet our children are expected to go to school, suffocate themselves behind useless medical devices, while these jackasses who are setting these totally arbitrary health policies do whatever they want. We're done. We're not taking this any longer, okay? Carrie Buck, your violations of California and federal laws are at an end. We're going to prosecute you. We've got the OC District Attorney's Office involved. We're going to get you out of office and we're going to put you in jail. This is over. This is over. I just have to say, Marilyn Anderson, you're completely silent on these issues. You see tyranny pervading the board and you're doing nothing. So I'm going to tell you, lady, you have two options. One, you can stand up for constitutional rights and parental rights, or we can vote you out. Those two options, but we are no longer going to accept silence from you, sir, ma'am.
That's it. Whatever you are.
Okay, that brings us to our general functions, and that is to adopt revised 2022 Board of Education meeting schedule. And I need a motion to adopt.
You want to, for the revised, correct? Okay, I make that motion. I so move.
I'll second it.
You're all cowards.
Okay, any discussion?
Yep.
I do too. You can go first if you'd like, Mrs. Anderson.
Okay, so I've been reading lots of emails and listening to your comments today. And I just want to if we postpone the meeting till the 16th and the governor does not lift his temporary indoor mask mandate this is two different subjects. There's the in-class that they have for schools, and then there was the temporary one that was instated in December. If he does not release that in February, can the meeting be held outside so that we don't have problems with the masks?
all talk about it? That's not an issue for me. I would be okay with that.
Yeah, we would just need direction from the board. And just one thing to keep in mind would be that when we're outside, we're able to live stream, but audio only, just no camera.
Right, and I understand that.
That would be acceptable to me. I would be fine with that.
Okay, and then if we kept the meeting on the 8th as scheduled, we could also do it outside as scheduled. Correct.
Yes, we could do both.
Okay, so I have several issues, and I have had to stay silent for a while because of all these unilateral adjournments of these board meetings. We've had Brown Act violations, we've had bylaw violations. The special meeting that was set for today was not done. It was done by one person unilaterally. We were not asked as a board what time we should show up, or even if we were available. We were just told to be here. So I would just like everybody to know, and I'd like to state here today, that we need to act more like a board, because right now the past few weeks have been an absolute dictatorship. And so my question would be, is that if it is not outside, because I do not think we should move it. Moving it is not the option, because Governor Newsom, once again, who violates his mask mandates, probably won't lift it on the 15th. And so why would we push it to the 16th in the hopes? And then what would our insurance be from you that if we did have it indoors, that you wouldn't be kicking people out again after 2 minutes for so-called mask violations? I also have a problem with the unilateral rule, and I would like to know, have the copy also of the speech that you read that said that there's no more mesh masks or sports masks for the schools and for inside our building, because Dr. Chow has come out and said that there is no state guidance on that. And so I would love to have the speech, so if you could share it with us, because as a board members, when that was announced, I was sitting there wearing a mesh mask, because I have never seen state guidance. I have worn a mesh mask this entire time, as many kids in our school district have, as many kids are still wearing mesh masks, as the staff and teachers, etc. So I would just like to know where all this is coming from and why these unilateral decisions are being made between the superintendent and the president of the board. We are not functioning right now as a board. It is not happening. None of these decisions have been made. I'm sitting there, and I know that your base has been saying on social media, oh, she's wearing a fake mask, she's wearing a mesh mask. So with nobody telling me as a board member sitting up there in a mesh mask, that all of a sudden this mesh mask rule is going to be announced that night. Furthermore, I'm also going to just put this out here. We cannot hold students accountable for wearing whatever these masks are, because there is no guidance from the state, in my opinion. I have been on campuses. We have been removing kids from the campuses, and they're not allowed back in unless they're wearing a certain mask. But nobody really knows what these masks are. But I've been on campuses where I have witnessed people wearing mesh masks. So why are certain students being kicked out of school and other students are not? I have walked into offices and I have seen masks below the chin with staff and principals standing right there. So my issue is why are we holding our families accountable for these meetings if their mask is below their nose and we're stopping meetings unilaterally? And why are we only enforcing this mask policy with certain people? It's in our board meetings and it's with our students. However, we're not enforcing this across this district. There's video of incidents that have happened where our staff are not wearing their masks and they're pulling it up. Where is the consistency? If we are going to hold certain people accountable, then we hold everybody accountable. But then there's a thing called the union, which, they protect a lot of teachers, so we don't want to touch them. But if we're going to do this and we're going to take a stand, then we hold everybody accountable, because that is the right thing to do. As a police officer, I was not able to show up on calls and decide who I wanted to arrest and who I not want to arrest. It was fair across the board. So we either hold all of staff, all students, all teachers, everybody accountable, or we hold nobody accountable. Nobody. And I also would like to address the fact too that now our teachers, as part of this participation grade, are basically, if you wear your mask appropriately, you have a higher grade. If you do not, we lower your grade. I would like to know where that is coming from.
Teach math again.
And so since I haven't been able to speak the last 2 board meetings, I wanted to bring up that I have, per Government Code 54954.2, a board may take action on a subject not appearing on the posted meeting agenda under the following conditions. And the board by a majority vote of its members determined that an emergency situation exists as defined by emergency meetings by Government Code 54956.5. So after I vote no to moving the meeting, I would like to add that we have an emergency motion placed on this agenda today that we will not remove any more kids from campuses because of a mask or
I second it.
Mr. Anderson, or if you're there, do you have any comments? I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, why do I do that? I don't understand. Mr. Youngblood, I apologize. Are you there?
That mic's not turned on.
Is the mic on? Can't hear you. Hold on.
The mic's not on.
Hold on. I think your mic's off.
Hello?
Yeah.
There you go.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody talk to him.
Yes, John, we're here. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. So I agree with Miss Blade. And I too am in agreement that we do not expel or place any students out of school because of their mask.
Or lack of thereof.
And well, I'm trying to drive while I'm doing this. So as far as the other things, as far as being a complete board, we currently are not. We are in violation of a few of our own bylaws, as well as some of the educational codes, in which we're going to have to look at a little closer. We need to be more not only transparent as a board. That means there's no unilateral movement that the president of the board has. And this will be one of the focused items that we'll be discussing here in the near future. Go ahead and carry on, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Youngblood. Mrs. Freeman, any comments?
Oh, come on. Come on.
I will question, we do have a teleconference arrangement, and I've done that once before with ROP years ago. And you posted, as has been indicated here, with the address given on the agenda for Mr. Youngblood. However, if he's driving somewhere, he is not at the posted location. I want to point that out.
Oh, you got it.
I am making that comment because I think it's important when you talk about following procedures that is important to know. And I'm a little surprised because you are to be posted.
All of a sudden.
Please keep your voices down.
But I will also say, what I will also try to say is that many of the people in our community are not represented here today, and I also am beginning to feel very dismayed by the fact.
It's not important to them.
Please keep your voices down so that you can hear what we're saying.
I'm concluded. I have finished my remarks.
Good.
Good.
Okay, so my remarks, I would like to move the meeting to the 16th in hopes that the governor does lift that temporary mandate. I hope that he lifts the mandate for our schools entirely. But I'm not sure about that. Do you have another one?
Yes, I will try to say this. I do want to say I am in support of moving the meeting because this example of a meeting today is the problem that has caused us to delay on prior occasions. We have a responsibility to our students. We have a responsibility to our students and to our staff to get the district business done. And as exampled here this morning with people who are in many cases not from our community, but who have taken the time to come here to tell us in our community what to do. We need to continue to move on as a district, and it's important that we have a meeting that hopefully will fall outside of the mask mandate, which may help tamp down the disruptive ways in which our ability to function have been happening for the last month. We have business to conduct.
Has Newsom ever kept a
We do
promise
have
that
business
he's ever
to
said?
conduct. And this is a meeting that the Board of Education has in a public setting. A meeting that the Board of Education has in a public setting. So we need to continue our work.
Our kids. Do it.
But we also need it to be in a place where it's manageable. And in front of everybody. So I guess at this point we'll just. We have a motion by Mrs. Freeman and a second by Mrs. Anderson. All those in favor? And we're going to have to do individually. So Mrs. Freeman?
Aye.
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 Mrs. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Youngblood, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and my vote is no.
My vote is also no.
And my vote is for yes. So that motion is 3-2. Motion carries. Motion fails. I'm sorry.
Hold on a minute. Let me put somebody else in place.
I meant that we're not moving the meeting.
You must have went to a public school.
And we're going to take a short recess so that we can contact our attorney about our motion.
Contact your attorney. Contact your criminal attorney.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Marilyn. I think I'm going to keep this on. I don't know how long their break is going to be, but they're contacting their attorney about Leandra's motion, I guess, or her agenda item. She added an agenda item that wasn't on the list.
The emergency motion.
Yeah. So we'll keep this on if you don't mind. Let's see if I can. I'll turn the camera around here really quick. Stand by. All right, my friends. So pretty exciting here. Too bad those of you. I'm glad so many of you have joined on the live stream. If you could share it, each one of you could just hit the share button and share it out to your community. That would help. Many of my videos that I create are being blocked by Facebook and social media, and so it would help to get this video out to other parents, not only in our school district but other school districts, to see what we're doing, see how we're doing it, see what problems we're facing. They're probably not unlike the other problems that we're seeing in other school districts. Keep commenting too. The more you comment, the more you share, the more you like and heart. Yes, you're right here. How you doing, Lovey? How do you like your meeting today? It's exciting, isn't it? Being an attorney, come here. Being an attorney, how did you feel about the attorneys that got up there and spoke?
No comments.
I think it would have been better if she would have, maybe gone a little bit, but then stopped and then handed off. But
It's not good to.
You gotta be a little
I'm
bit
just
closer
worried.
because I don't have
I'm
mine.
just worried about them being that disruptive when they're outside.
Yeah.
Parents and then
It brings attention to outside.
Yes. And it derails the flow of the meeting, and then it kind of reduces the impact of the point if it causes corollary chaos to me.
Well, the green team, the green people that come, which are the opposing, they come from other counties and other districts and that kind of stuff.
And that's disruptive too.
Yes, disruptive too. So we don't want to be like that.
Right.
Be like that. So
You're giving her the inside?
No, I'm talking to the crowd
You're
that's watching.
talking.
Yeah,
Oh.
you could come and talk too. It's just, I have to pull the camera down a little bit.
Oh my.
I'm just taking the break because if I end it, then it'll start a new stream. Then they all have to join again. So that's why I'm keeping it live. If you're wondering why I haven't stopped it and went live again, it's because what happens is, sorry, I want to look at comments here really quick. Hey Kelly, thanks for watching. Justin, thank you for watching, and thanks for thanking me for streaming it. I would end the stream. The problem is if I end it, the number of people, which is in the 50s right now, which is probably more, but then I'd have to start again. Then you'd all have to find the new link, and so I don't want to do that to you guys. So go ahead and get a cup of coffee or go to the restroom while they're on their break. Apparently, Carrie Buck is calling her the district attorney. She should be calling her attorney in the meantime, but she is apparently contacting the district attorney to find out if Leandra can add the emergency agenda item, which is, I'm going to move over here just because my wife's talking and I don't want to disrupt her conversation. And then I'll let you see the people behind me. We have a good crowd for a 8:30 a.m. meeting, which, hey, Mike, come here, if you don't mind. So if I'm not disturbing anything. Oh, sorry. And I'm going to bring Mike up here. Earl, right? Earl, is that it? Huh? Early. Sorry. Mike, you're bringing some legal action.
Yes.
Against the district, not just the board, but the district. Do you want to tell? We're on a little bit of break here, so I just want to keep the stream going live. But if you can share with the audience what you got going on.
Yeah. So it's essentially legal notice, and they've officially been put on notice that any violation of our kids' civil rights, they'll be sued to the fullest extent of the law, right? So we're removing consent for masking, any other COVID-19 medical procedures or mandates. If they as much as ask my kid to put a mask on, they're setting themselves up for some serious legal trouble.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
So what stage are you at now? Is there like a series of things that have to take place? And you're not an attorney.
No,
you're a parent.
I'm not. Just a parent.
But is there a series of things that have to happen in order for the lawsuit to occur? Do you have to give them notice and give them an opportunity to change things?
So they've been given notice as of today. Hundreds of parents are emailing that same notice in as we speak.
Yep.
To their schools and their principals. At this point, I know my kid personally is going to school without a mask tomorrow.
Good.
We'll see what happens. We're going to document everything, and if any action's taken, we're going to keep note of all that in detail.
Yep.
And that's the next step.
One of the problems that I know that I have with my kids is that, and it's a huge issue in my belief, is that these kids have already have been indoctrinated into this mindset. And it's really hard to get the kids that have been going along with this to not wear masks. Even my kids, who 4 of them are strong conservatives.
Yep.
And even I said, well, I don't want to upset the teacher. I don't want to upset the school. But that is a sign. And I don't want that parents to have the mistake of thinking, oh, look at how good they're being. No, they've fallen into this indoctrination. What do you have to say about that? Is that's a health issue in my belief.
It is, and it's sad that our kids, a lot of kids now they're struggling with this dilemma of, do I follow my parents and what my parents are asking me to do and stand up for my rights, or do I listen to my teacher who I also respect?
Yep.
And that's a tough spot to put kids in.
Yep.
So kids have to be comfortable with this decision to go maskless and to refuse to comply. But even if they show up without a mask, and then once they're asked to put one on, if they choose to and put one on, that's still a violation of the non-consent by the school and the teachers, right? So we can document that. And what's going to happen with that documentation? We have all these instances. We're going to file a government claim against the district and go after the funds.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for doing what you're doing. We appreciate it very much. All right. Take care. All right. So one of the things I was just talking about, and what Mike brought up, which is awesome, that is that we're the parents, we're fighting against which would be normally somebody that we would say respect the authority of your teacher, respect the authority of police, respect the authority of principals and district superintendents for that matter. But we're fighting against them now. They're no longer the people that we can trust that we used to, as maybe some of us as kids. We would go to them if we were lost. We would go to them if we were hurting, or if we were thinking bad thoughts about suicide. Where now and they're taking the parents out of it. They've caused a divide between parents and now these dictators and people that do not have our children's best interest in mind. And we're also fighting against social media influencers and rock stars and singers that have gotten the ear and the minds of our children. And so this is just a piece of what it is that we have to fight against. It's not just the school districts, it's not just the teachers and their friends. That the parents need to take back control of our children's minds. And I know that sounds so strange, but I think in some cases we've lost our children to these tyrants and these indoctrination locations called public schools. Many of us need, in a sense, and I don't want to, go back to this thought that the schools are our babysitters, but many of us have relied on the schools being there. Many of us taking jobs thinking that our kids would be in school. We've taken on careers on the basis of understanding that our children will be in school for a certain period of the year, and then on the summer vacation. This has been something that we've counted on. And so I know that the teachers unions like to say, well, parents, are depending on us to be the babysitters for the kids. No, we want our kids educated by the best and brightest, which we apparently only have a couple of them in our schools right now. We had the thought that school boards would be taking care of the needs of our kids and making sound decisions on how our kids would be taken care of in school. And we thought the school district and the superintendents would put together a sound curriculum that we could count on. None of those things are happening. And so these are our schools. So we can't just easily go. Sure, we could take our kids out. Sure, we can put them into private school. Sure, we could possibly even homeschool our kids. Many of us, that would be very difficult. But why do that? We have been paying for these schools since I've been working when did I start work? Somewhere in the 70s, I think. And so I've been paying for these schools for many, many decades. I'm not willing to give up something that I've been paying for this long that was supposed to take care of my kids' education, teaching them to read, write, count, and think, teaching them how to do those things, not what to think, not to indoctrinate them, and not to harm them as they're doing right now. I wanted to see if I could, sorry, I went on a whole rampage there, but I'm trying to use up some time while they're calling their attorneys. This really is one of the craziest things. I was hoping to get a hold of the attorney. I don't know where she went. She was standing right here. Oh, I think she's way over there. So too hard to get. Let me get something really quick if you'll just bear with me for 1 second. Just for the, if you haven't heard on the news or you've been busy, as I was, making breakfast for my kids and taking them to school, that kind of stuff. But Johns Hopkins came out today, this morning, February 2nd. How inconvenient for the board. Is that backwards? Probably, because my camera has a forward-facing camera. But this is Johns Hopkins just came out with a study, and it just blows away everything that we've been doing for the last couple of years. Now, we could understand in the beginning, as it was going to be done back in the, 2020? I've already forgotten. 2020, when President Trump agreed with shutting down the country for 2 weeks while they evaluated things. That actually makes some sense. But when they began to say, let's open up back up this country, and many states, Democratic-run states like California and New York, and of course, all the others, decided not to do that. We were all screaming. All of us were screaming, this is not going to help. Just common sense tells you this is not going to help. Well, Johns Hopkins now, 2 years later, comes out with a study that says, a Johns Hopkins study says ill-founded lockdowns did little to limit COVID deaths. Now, that's a kind title from the Health News of Florida. I guess they wanted to lean further or closer to it actually doing something. But actually later on, it says here, the researchers say lockdowns had no noticeable effect on COVID mortality and had a devastating effect. So you go from no to devastating. It's not no to, it kind of harmed the kids or it just was an inconvenience. No, it goes on to say it was devastating on economies and social ills. Later on in the study, I actually have the study at home. It's just a bigger, like 62 pages, where it says that it actually harmed children. These lockdowns of schools, the virtual schooling, the mask mandates, the partitions, all the stuff that we did to separate children from their their fellow schoolmates, and to block the face of the teacher so they couldn't see it, or their friend so they couldn't see smiles and see their teeth and see their mouth moving when they were talking. That those things actually caused a psychological harm and actually harm children. This school district has the option, has the ability to disregard the Orange County Health Department. They actually said that in a supervisor meeting, where a board meeting, where they said they would give the districts the option and let them decide on what measures they would take in regard to masks. And so the school district has refused to listen to the teachers. I just want to address what what's her name, Karen Freeman said, is that there's a lot of people here that don't side with her. They're not here. Why aren't they here? Why aren't they here? Right? If only one person out of all those people got up and said that they didn't agree with the rest of us, one person, that and we have all these people, that's essentially, this is essentially a poll. When they poll people, they call a number of people, and they get the people that agree with something and disagree with something, and then some people that are on the fence, right? Well, the people that are here are the parents, are the community. How can Karen say that the people that agree with her aren't here? Well, where are they? Why didn't they show up? Because they don't exist. There's not a large number of people that agree with Karen Freeman and Carrie Buck about anything. The people that show up at the school board meetings, as she was trying to blame on a couple people that spoke here, are from out of town. They are people, kids from, not children, but kids from Cal State Fullerton, that get talked into coming, that get some type of community hours for showing up. This is a representation of the people that care, and this is a representation of the community. The people that spoke are a representation of the parents that go to these school districts. And the percentages are the same. If you were now to increase these numbers, you would still have the same percentage. The percentage of people here, well, I would say, was 1%. One person got up and disagreed with us on everything, whether it had to do with masks or mandates or moving the meeting and that kind of stuff. So Karen Freeman is off a rocker. Carrie Buck is off a rocker. They are nuts. These people are nuts. It is incredible what it is that they've decided to do on their own. And Leander Blades and Sean Youngblood said it, that they do these things without even talking to them, without even letting them know these things are happening. I actually caught Leander in the parking lot when she was walking up to this meeting, and I said, how come they changed the agenda? And she said, they changed the agendas? And I said, yes. Coming into the meeting, Leander didn't even know that the agenda had been changed from going virtual, which was the original agenda, to talking about moving the date. She came here maybe 5 minutes before, and 5 minutes before the meeting started, she was not even aware that Carrie Buck had unilaterally changed the agenda item. So that tells me right now, and Leandra is telling the truth. They're not even contacting her. They're not even consulting with her. They're not saying, okay, let's get on to a Zoom, on Tuesday to talk about what it is we're going to do on Wednesday. None of those things are happening. That a board is a board. It is a group of people that talk and communicate and make decisions based on a board, not by a singular person. That's not how a board runs. And so that was very telling and a very important issue that we needed to hear from Leandra, who was willing to sit there next to these people and speak up and speak out about what's going on. This is really nuts. And then, you got Carrie Buck, and you all know this. I'm just, again, trying to kill some time here. But Carrie Buck and Karen Anderson, who have been constantly changing the rules, unilaterally changing things without consulting the rest of the board, violating state law and federal law and the bylaws of the board constantly. She had the gall and the cojones to say that Sean Youngblood driving in his vehicle while attending this meeting wasn't at the location that they told her, or Sean told them that he was going to be at. that whole thing about him not being where he told him he was going to be in violation of the agreement is laughable, just completely laughable. That's the thing she decides that she's going to bring up as her protest of Sean Youngblood's being on this meeting, on this call, was completely ridiculous. Oh. All right. So what else can we talk about? All right. This is going to be a long phone call. They're trying to find a reason not to have the agenda item be heard. They're not finding a way to have the agenda item being heard, whether it's an emergency or not. So they're going to probably be a long period of time. Again, I hesitate to stop this stream, because if I stop it, then you're all going to have to try to find the stream that is going right now. If I end it, then of course I have to start a whole new broadcast. The problem with me doing that is because I'm being shadow banned so strongly from Facebook. I think I have another 60 days on my restrictions that it may be hard for you to find a new stream if somebody doesn't share it to you. The only other thing that I would ask you to do is, for all of you that are watching now, if you've not done so, if you could share this stream to your social media. That would help other people see it that are in the school district. If you could comment when you can, just to say hi, where you're watching from, what school your kid goes to. I know some of you want to be not unanimous. What's the word I'm looking for? Not known. Sorry, I only had one cup of coffee this morning. But if you could do something to share this so more people can see it. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And so you can, if you lose it on Facebook for whatever reason, you can find it on YouTube. Unanimous, that's the word I was looking for. It just came to me. Sorry. Usually I have my wife to rescue me with the words. I appreciate it very much. And I wish I had my glasses. I don't have glasses, so I can see all these comments. As a joke when she said that. Oh my gosh, Darlene, yes, absolutely. What a nut. I mean, they really are. You know, the greatest thing about this whole thing that's happening here is we're finding out how moronic and stupid and ill-equipped these people are to be dealing with these issues that have to do with our school. They've been able to have these meetings for decades and not have to answer to anybody, and nothing that was occurring at those times was enough to expose them of their stupidity and inability to run a school board. They can't make decisions. You hear them talk. Just listen. We'll listen. We'll get more of a chance to listen to Carrie Buck talk. But she can't. I mean, who am I to talk? But she can't muster a sentence together without making an error. She calls people by their wrong names constantly. She gets flustered when things aren't going her way. And the only thing they can do is say that if you don't agree with us, we are going to move the meeting. If you don't agree with us, we're going to stomp our feet and cry. If you don't agree with us, we are going to make sure that we make it difficult for you to attend. So we'll move the meeting to 8:30 in the morning so fewer people can attend. And you know what? We care enough that we take off the day. We care enough that we change our schedule. There's other things that many of these people could be doing. I bet you there's many people that are losing revenue or had to take time off without pay to be here. But she doesn't. They don't see that. They don't see. They see that the people that they claim that agree with them are not here, but because why? Why aren't they here? But they don't care enough. They're not here because there isn't people that think like they do. Hopefully, and so we have a whole bunch of nonsense being thrown out there by Karen at the very end and Carrie, and again they're putting more effort into contacting their attorney to find out if they can take on Leandra's emergency agenda item than they've probably taken on any other thing that they've discussed in regard to our children. They care more about not having Leandra heard than having our children heard and seen with these masks. All right, they're coming back out now because I ran out of things to talk about. So good. Here, I'm going to get turned around again. Just give me a second while I find my buttons here. I'm going to look very odd here as I'm moving the camera around. What's happening?
Are you still rolling?
Yeah, well, yeah. I haven't turned off yet. It's okay. Hold on. Camera. Switching this around. Hold on. That camera. There we go.
You want me to go in front of your...
Oh, yeah. Oh, where'd you get that one? Did she have those?
She
too?
has them, yeah.
That's good. But oh, what's that? Let's go, Brandon. Nice. Oh, no problem. All right, let's get this camera right. Let's find out how they're going to claim that Leandra's emergency agenda item will not be heard. That's what we can expect from this board. They're just going to make stuff up as they go.
Okay, we're going to come back into session from our break and getting a chance to talk to legal counsel. So Dr. Elsasser, will you give us an up-to-date?
Sure. So in talking with our legal counsel, his interpretation would be different on this 54954.2. Doesn't recommend we do it. However, the language is gray and can be interpreted either way. And so we'll leave it up to the board if you want to entertain that motion. But I just wanted to point out a couple of things to the board, because Education Code 35160 requires that the board comply with law and not take action contrary to the law. Number one. And number two, Government Code Section 8665 establishes penalties for violating regulations and orders issued under the Emergency Services Act, and that the CDPH orders were issued under the authority of that act. So please keep that in mind as you proceed.
And I'd just like to remind us that we talked about this in October, and we got a couple of responses from two different attorneys, from our health insurance or from our insurance carriers, and they all told us that if we do this, they will not be our insurance carrier anymore. We'll also personally be liable for any issues. So just a reminder to that which includes fines and penalties for violating the Services Act.
Can I bring it forward first before we do all the naysaying?
Sure.
Thank you.
So we would need a motion, and we would need to word it slowly so we can write it down.
I make a motion that we approve a resolution that we will not remove kids from the classroom and return kids who have been removed from the classroom for a mask violation.
I second that.
Just point of clarification, and we did hear Mr. Youngblood's second. Ms. Blaze, we don't have a resolution written. So is it a resolution, or you have a resolution that you're going to bring forward? Do you have copies for everyone?
I don't. I'm sorry, I don't have copies. But if you would like me to just read what I have, and it's not a long resolution at all.
Okay, go ahead.
As a board and as a school district, we have an obligation to uphold the Constitution of the state of California. Article 1 specifically prohibits schools from denying some students the basic educational necessities provided to other students. There's guidance from CDPH for K-12 schools that requires facial coverings for all students and staff indoors. However, there is absolutely no legal definition of what constitutes an acceptable facial covering. There are recommendations but no absolute requirements as to color, size, material, or design of a mask. We cannot make up our own conditions upon which students can attend school when others cannot. Our district is violating equal protection under the law of students' constitutional rights to an in-person education when we make up rules about what type of mask is acceptable and then prevent a child from going to school if they can't or won't comply with such arbitrary and capricious rules. This is wrong for two reasons. One, students need to be in class. The negative impacts of keeping children out of school on the basis of made-up rules is morally wrong, and it is doing harm to the very people we are here to serve. Yes. Two, by making up our own rules that are unnecessarily restrictive and not supported by governing authorities, we open the district up to expensive litigation, which we are sure to lose. I've spoken with the parents on this topic. They will sue the district if we continue to make up rules that harm their children. That's right. I propose that we pass a resolution today recommitting our efforts to protect the constitutional right of all children in our district to receive an in-person education, that we follow only the letter of the law and the least restrictive guidelines provided by the local health authorities in service to the children in our district who so desperately need to return to a sense of normalcy and sensible, compassionate rules for health and safety. And I did write a very short resolution. But the basis of this whole thing is that if a kid's mask falls below their nose, they shouldn't be removed from the classroom. If the kid is wearing a mask appropriately, whether it be mesh, one layer cloth, whatever it is, they shouldn't be removed from the classroom. And I think this needs to stop, and we need to go back to the business of just teaching these children and stop having our teachers and our staff be a mask police. We really need to be serving the children because this is what we're here for. And I'm so sickened and I'm disheartened every single day when I'm hearing of these kids that are being removed from the classroom and they're being sent home. And I think we as a board need to stand up and take a stand right here and say, we won't remove these kids from the classroom. We will do what we can to keep them in the classroom. I'm not saying that I want all out, anarchy, but I'm saying is I know students who have been removed from the classroom and sent outside in the hallway unsupervised because their mask fell below their nose. And some of these are masks that the district is providing. So is that the kid's fault that the mask is falling down, or is that negligence because we are not providing proper fitting masks? So the resolution would be, whereas per the California Constitution that states every student is entitled to a public education, and per Education Code 51747, subsection F as in Frank, subsection 8, stating independent study is an optional education alternative in which no people may be required to participate. We hereby state that no student will be removed from the classroom in an in-person learning environment due to a mask violation.
Can I ask a clarifying question? The masks that you're referring to are for a mask violation. Are you specifically talking about a type of mask? Are you talking about if a student doesn't wear a mask? Or are you talking about if the mask falls below the nose? I guess there's a difference between a type of mask or falling below the nose or just no mask at all.
So it's been my experience that no kid has been inside the classroom not wearing a mask. We have been removing the kids from the classroom for a mesh mask, a single one layer cloth mask. I haven't heard any parents telling me that their kids have been removed for not wearing a mask. It's all a type of mask. So I'm saying let's listen to what the CDPH recommendations and guidelines are and not sit here and criticize what type of mask is. And if the kids' masks fall below their nose, tell them to pull it back up or just continue teaching. Like, everybody is so tired of this and we need some common sense. We have to practice common sense. So I have not heard from anybody that these kids are unmasked in the classroom that are being removed. It's a mesh mask. It's this type of mask. It's a cheesecloth mask. We're just picking, it's just whatever somebody just deems inappropriate for that day. If the kid has a darn face covering on their face, leave them alone and continue teaching.
Yes. Yes. We're outdoors. Karen's got a question.
Is my mask okay?
Now that the resolution has been read, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Madam President,
Mrs.
can you
Freeman?
tell me where we're at on the agenda as to how we have a resolution? Where are we now in an emergency meeting? Where are we?
We're in placenta.
It's an emergency item that's been added to the agenda. It was added to the agenda. Our attorney recommended that we didn't move forward with it, but that it was a gray area.
Okay, I am not prepared to vote on this resolution today. I have not seen it, and nor have I had time to study it or review it. So my vote will be a no.
And I will do the same because I haven't seen the text. I've heard it quoted, but it would not be appropriate as a board member to not have the item in front of me to at least read and to consider, and we have not had a chance. No, I can leave my mask on. It is a privilege I have.
So I also will be voting no on this. Based on the recommendation by the attorneys, I would like to read it as well and have the attorney review it before it were to go up for a vote. Any other comments?
So if you guys need to review it, if I prepare it, can we put it on the agenda to be voted on the 8th?
Please provide it to us so that we can also have the attorney go over it as well.
So if I have it available to you, say tomorrow or Friday, we can get it on the agenda for the 8th. Because you guys are saying you haven't been able to study it.
We have to have 3 board members that would agree to put it on the agenda for the 8th.
Oh my God.
I'm not interested yet until I see the item. We haven't had that opportunity.
I just said I will send you the information so you can review it for the 8th. So if that information gets sent to you and it's on next Tuesday's agenda, you'll have the weekend to be able to review it.
Okay, the agenda has to be posted on Friday, is that correct? So that means everything would have to happen tomorrow.
I can get it done.
That if the attorney would have to review it and everything would have to be reviewed. So again, until I see it, I am voting no.
So are you voting no for it to go to the agenda on Tuesday?
Yeah, because I don't know exactly what we're talking about and I'm very...
You just read it.
Okay, so that looks like a no. 1, 2, and I'm a no
I
as
feel
well.
like we also have a very full agenda for next week.
Oh my God.
January's and this month, and that's what we need to focus on.
Okay, so at this point, we're seeing 3 that are a no moving forward and 2 that are yes. So not on the February 8th meeting, and we're going to do a roll call.
That would be
Mrs. Freeman, this would be to add it to our February.
Wednesday, Thursday.
So, okay, 2 things. So first, we're going to do the emergency action, that vote first, and then we'll vote for the adding it to the next agenda. So for the first emergency action, adding this resolution as is, passing of the resolution that was read.
right.
We're going to vote on that now, whether we are approving it or not.
Okay.
So Mrs. Freeman, your vote?
No.
Mrs. Anderson?
No.
Mrs. Blades?
Yes.
Mr. Youngblood?
Yes.
And my vote is no as well. So that motion does not carry.
Who cares about the kids?
And then to add it to our February 8th agenda, we're all going to also do a roll call vote for that. This is if we were to get the resolution to add it to our February 8th agenda. Consensus. Oh, not a thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. So we have a no to move that forward.
Why thumbs down?
So that brings us now to adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Youngblood, there were 3 thumbs down to move that forward for the February 8th meeting. Okay, so
thumbs up for me.
okay, thumbs up for Mr. Youngblood. Okay, adjournment, Mrs. Freeman.
Yeah, I move adjournment.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Freeman, second by Mrs. Anderson. All those in favor?
Thumbs down for the kids. You gave a
So we
thumb
need to do
down
that
for the
a roll
kids.
call as well. Mrs. Freeman to adjourn.
Aye.
Mrs. Anderson to adjourn.
Aye.
Mrs. Blades to adjourn.
Aye.
Mr. Youngblood to adjourn.
Aye.
And I as well for me. So we adjourn 5-0.
More wasted time.
How sad that you're keeping kids home from school.
Yes. What do you want to eat? Slappy Jacks?
You heard it from them. They said the insurance carrier would block their insurance.
Yeah.
If they voted this way.
Oh my gosh, people are nuts. Hold on, I gotta see if I can settings. You need an easier way to turn this camera back around. Here we go. All right, need to get rid of this. All right, my friends. Hey, thank you for joining again. If you could share out this madness, this is just craziness. We got 3 thumbs down. Just make sure that you know from Karen Freeman, Marilyn, and Carrie Buck, of course, who want nothing to do with getting kids back into school. So they voted on a no on getting the kids back into school that have been kicked out of school for simply having a mask down on their nose. Leandra, would you want to join me on this?
Sure.
Hi. Come over here. We're on this side.
Can I take my jacket off?
Yes.
So I don't feel
We have the fantastic Leandra Blades. Sean's in Texas. It's I'm trying not to say shocking because it really isn't shocking at this point that you have 3 board members that simply do not care about the kids. We have kids that are not able to go to school because of some stupidity. Can you help me understand what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know why we are picking and choosing, and one of the reasons too. And it's not to.
Closer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's not to like dime off any teachers or staff or whatnot, but fair should be across the board. And I think in law enforcement, since both of us were in there, taking people's freedom away when you arrest them is a big ordeal, and so you better make sure you're doing what's right by the law.
Right.
And so when I go around and I hear all of these students, I get calls from teachers, I get calls from staff, I get calls from parents, and they say, hey, my kid is in a mesh mask. This teacher's in a mesh mask. This staff is in a mesh mask. These people are doing this. They're in cheesecloth masks. But they're not getting called out. And then, you walk onto campuses and there's students with masks below their chins in front of a principal who has just removed a kid from campus for wearing a mesh mask. Like, you need to make it make sense to me. And there needs to be, like, either a uniform code that there is, like, across the board that we're enforcing it all or we're not enforcing it.
Right.
And so when these kids that have been removed from these classrooms, it has been mesh masks. It's been some type of mask. They're not sitting in their mask list. So why don't we just ignore this?
Right.
View the CDPH as the recommendations that it only is, and just go about teaching and stop removing these kids.
Right.
And so my resolution today would have put those kids back into the classroom, and it would have not allowed these kids to be removed.
Right.
And hopefully just get past this part, and return to business as normal as much as we can.
Right. So they can ignore, they can't ignore that, but they can ignore the CDC who says that masks make no difference. They can ignore the World CDC, which also has said that masks don't matter. They can ignore Johns Hopkins University, who came up with a study that said none of the mitigations that we've done, separation, virtual learning, all this stuff, has actually harmed our kids.
Right.
They can ignore that,
right.
But they can't ignore the fact that a mask has fallen down below the kid's nose.
Right.
And they get suspended.
My kid has been removed from the classroom for his mask falling below his nose.
Hmm.
I have 2 kids that are very different. I have one that hates the mask and will allow it to fall down and be forced to pull it up. And I don't make any excuses for him. I said, look, you're living your own life, buddy. You wanna have to deal with this, because I think it would just be a pain in the butt. But I have one kid who actually, he doesn't care. He's like, oh, I'm fine. And so it falls below his nose, and the teacher kicks him out into the hallway.
Right.
Unsupervised, which is also, when you're unsupervised, it actually violates an education code.
Well, I was talking to Mike early, and we were talking about this, that the children, even my children, who are now so used to having masks, they've been indoctrinated.
Mm-hmm.
And I trying to tell them, hey, listen, you have to understand that your desire to wear the mask, even though you don't have to outside or you walk out with it, they forget. And I said, this is harmful. This is mental abuse to our children, that they are so afraid now not to wear the mask. And I don't think any of my kids are afraid, because they've all had COVID. They're just afraid to upset the teacher. They're afraid to upset other students.
Right.
And there's a wrong way to look at this whole thing.
Right.
That is mental abuse right there,
Right.
because now they're so afraid they don't even know what to do. They don't want to upset anybody.
Right.
And it is shocking that my kids, who are strong conservatives, they'll walk out with a mask. I go, what are you still wearing your mask? You're outside. And they go, oh, I forgot.
Right.
And it's just, this has to change. This is going to end shortly.
Is.
So I don't understand why they want to hang on to this bit of power that they still have, and ignore the children's education that are being suspended and told to leave school, and the fact that they're harming children going forward.
Yes.
And we got these 3 people. Now, I know I've been asked by some to lay off of Marilyn, but I can't. She's just shown her colors again. I mean, she had a moment there, with a no to move the time, but that's an easy one.
Well, the thing too is that if I type up this resolution, which, you know, I'm kind of like flying, a lot of time I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
Yep.
So, but I could have had this typed up and delivered today.
Yep.
So it could have been on the agenda for Tuesday, and she could have had all weekend to research it. Like, you don't need a month to figure out what to do, you know, to vote on a resolution, to figure out what the heck is right.
Right.
So,
well, like I said,
I'm disappointed. I'm glad Sean once again, Sean, you know, stood
Pulled
up and pulled through. And I think we just need to remember in this next election, we need people who will hold the darn line.
The most important thing with all this is that it's exposed the people that are just not fit to hold this type of office. They're not educated enough. They have no common sense. They have no critical thinking ability. Because how could you not listen to what you just said and then make a decision? What's next?
Right.
These are common sense, critical thinking issues that they don't have the mental capacity to do so, or the spine to stand up against something that just doesn't make sense. So,
well, and that's the thing too. All of this, they were setting Marilyn up. They were coaching her how to, because that's what they do.
Yep.
They coach her. So when you sit there and you have the superintendent warning, starting use like, you know, oh, the attorney's this, and then you have the board president, you know, oh, well, this and this and this, and we need to think about this. You're coaching, and that's why I was like, can I just read the darn resolution before you guys are sitting here naysaying all this?
Well, they
It's
know
ridiculous.
they know when they have
her.
they know when they have somebody weak and they put her between the president and Buck. They put her in between on purpose because she's weak. She doesn't have a spine to stand up against the two people, and she felt the pressure of where she was sitting. And this is really silly stuff. This is like kindergarten
stuff. It was very strategic the way that everybody was seated today. We should have been seated exactly how we are.
Exactly.
It was
I said that at the very beginning. I knew
very
this. I knew from the beginning when I said, look at where they put her, right in between the two power brokers of indoctrination and lies and deceit, so that she would feel the pressure and she couldn't say anything. It was easy to say no, not to move it. Move the meeting. That's easy. Yeah. But when it came down to it, to protect our kids.
It came down to protecting the kids.
Yep. Yeah, she wasn't there.
And the whole thing is this, is that if you can fly on an airplane with a mesh mask, if you can fly all these places, these kids have been wearing these masks for the last year and a half, and suddenly it's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, where did this happen? And why are we not calling it out? And why are we not just saying, if the kid has a darn face covering, which is what is listed on the CDPH, a face covering. If the kid is wearing a Spider-Man mask to school, who the heck cares?
Right.
Teach the kid and give him an education.
Yep. Yeah. They can go to McDonald's without a mask.
Yeah.
They can go to Sky Zone without a mask.
Yes.
But they can't.
You go anywhere without a mask.
Go anywhere
pretty
without
much.
You can't go to school without a mask. You can't sit down below your nose.
Don't go below your nose, or they'll throw you out in the hallway.
You're suspended.
Yeah.
All right, Leandra.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are amazing. Yeah. We appreciate it. All right, my friends, we're going to finally end this. We've been going on for a couple hours now. But again, I just would appreciate if you would share this out because I'm being shadow banned so strongly. I need it to be shared. I need you guys to comment. You're doing a great job of commenting. But make sure other people see it by sharing it out. Again, we're on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate all you parents that care. Send emails to the school board. They don't respond, by the way. But it doesn't hurt to send the emails that you are that you care about these kids. Not only your kids, but the rest of the kids that are out there. And don't listen to Karen Freeman, who claims that the people that aren't here care. If they cared, they would be here. If there were people that opposed us, they would be here. They're not here. The people that care, the community's here, the numbers are here. We have the majority. They should be listening to the majority. This still is a democratic republic, and we should be listening to the majority, not to one nitwit that wears green hair. All right, my friends. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.